Hello, it's Sandra Corbin of Success Strategies here. I just thought I'd give you a sneak preview of my online training session, Success Strategies Sales Genius. We joined the session midway, where I'm talking to Shelley Ross of BarbadosFaces.com about the upselling salesperson.
Sure that they're doing this upselling process. Everybody does it. McDonald's, I think Chauffeur started doing it now. Oh, had all this thing. You've got our standard meal. Would you like to add some extra fries to that, ma'am?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. If your staff aren't doing that, you're losing out bundles and bundles of revenue. Because the person that is looking at your product might not necessarily know about that. They may just look at it, read the information, and not glean any more.
Yeah.
Oh, Anthony, you can still hear. Okay. Anthony he's Dr. Fix-It, right? He still can hear, although we can't see him for some strange reason. And he has a computer firm, and he is trying to get hold of this fact sheet, so let me send it to him as well. Let me just do that here. So let me drag this into here. Yeah, we'll deal with that in a second. All right, so reading down the sheet, can you all see the box that says driven? The person has to be driven. When they're talking, talk with a sense of urgency. You know those infomercials that you see on television? ShamWow, is it? Where it says, buy the product now. When that person is talking, they have to have that kind of energy around them and that enthusiasm to make somebody want to buy it. And you're going to see the selling process further down the line where we do that and take the product away from the person, let them touch it. There's a whole process behind there. But that sense of excitement and urgency, if you don't get it now, you're never going to get this again. You're not going to have a choice in the matter. Buy it now. The confidence as well has to come across, as well as the assertiveness. And on occasions, if they can laugh, if they got a sense of humor, because I think that Rudolph and I have known in the past when you worked on a project with me, a major project in Barbados, we door knocked. And there's nothing worse if you haven't got a sense of humor, somebody just coming out and slamming that door in your foot. No, I'm not interested. Bam. And if you take offense at that, you would go home and cry and you just wouldn't make another sale. Is that true, Rudolph?
Sure.
Yeah, we did that door knocking thing in Rendezvous, etc. So if you haven't got that sense of humor and can make a joke out of it, the person is going to die. So in the interview process, you can ask them about a situation that they dealt with, how they dealt with it. And if they make a little joke and say, well, I did this and it was, and they make it into something funny, you've got somebody that can stand the test of time.
Right.
There also needs to be somebody that's organized. Now, I would tell you a little secret about Sandra Corbin. I'm organized in every other way, but the desktop on my computer is a challenge. You don't want to see if I shared my screen, you'd probably faint. So I would really need to have an admin. I see that as a challenge and I need an admin person regarding that. So I do. I have people that work with me that do all that, make the calls, arrange everything in a document and say, Sandra, I made these calls, here they are, and I just get on with the rest of it. So I need that interaction to keep me motivated. If your company is small, you're not going to have an admin person, Shelley, and you're not going to be able to do that on their behalf. So you need to find people that are structured. So as part of the interview process, you could ask them to bring, if they have a laptop, bring it with them and to go through some stuff with you to do with their previous sales or whatever on their laptop. And if you find them fiddling about, do you know that they're really not, if their computer's not organized, this is something that I was taught by Wendy Cave, who's a psychologist here, right? They're probably a bit confused in other areas of their life and they're not organized. So I know that I have that challenge, so I have somebody that does it for me. But you are hiring somebody that you don't really want to micromanage, you want them to get on with it. So if they've got that mess going on, waste of time. Total waste of time. It doesn't matter how hot they look, how shiny the suit, it's just not going to work. Because as you build up customers, they're going to lose documents. They're not going to call back customers that have called with an inquiry, as you said. Remember? People, you had leads and they never followed through. You don't need people like that. You're doing them a disservice, really, because it's painful for them to be so disorganized and still running around without support. Yeah. Okay, so great people, they build relationships. So, have you got any relationships that you would say that you've built, Charles, over the years? Do you have any customers that you could just let us into as a secret and tell me what type of relationships you have with them? Yeah.
Well, what I do, the type sales that I do, my relationships really are only to the extent that I go into the store where there are, and of course, like I said earlier, you have to sell yourself. There are, quite honestly, some stores that I deal with where, for whatever reason, I'm not necessarily the favorite sales rep of that particular buyer that I have to deal with. And people gravitate to you or they withdraw from you for various reasons. But what I have learned, it is critical that you establish some kind of relationship. So people need it because people buy from people that they like.
Mm.
So if you do not, and I'm learning this at the hard way, if you do not establish a relationship to the extent where you are perceived as likable, chances are you will not be as successful as you can be if it were the other way around, if it were otherwise.
Okay. Who would I say that I've got? I had a good relationship when I was dealing with the video lottery terminals, the gaming machines. I don't know if you saw them at all, Shelley. Did you see them around the island? Shelley? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but
Yeah.
I had my mic mute because I have some noise outside of me.
Oh,
The
okay.
garbage people have decided to come right now, so that's on me for a minute. Let them go because they're going to
Yeah.
keep loud.
All right. So I'll just have a chat about who I had around me. Okay. Well, basically, it was a bar really far out. No, I'll give you the example of somebody at Pine Hill. It was a gentleman that was at Pine Hill, and I was new to sales in Barbados. And customary, we say that you're supposed to know your product, do your research. I didn't research the company that I was going to. I was in a rush. And so, I've got this wonderful personality. As soon as I walk in there, I'm just going to tell him this stuff and he's going to buy from me. Anyway, so I walked in, walked into the guy's office, sat down, made my presentation without listening to him really, made my presentation about why he should sponsor this particular thing. And he said to me, Miss Corbin, do you know anything about our products? And I sat there in silence. He said, seriously, do you know anything about our target market? And if a hole in the floor could have opened up, I just wish I'd swallowed me there and then. He was obviously having a bad day anyway, right? The last thing he wanted was some young girl coming in there, not being prepared, and just telling him, give me money, just give me money. And he couldn't see a reason why, and I couldn't convince him. Anyway, I said to him that I apologized to him, and I said, yes, it was a miss of me to have not found out about the company. But I really wanted his take on the matter. And if he could go through this information with me, I would be able to find out if the product really did suit him, or in fact, if I was in error. He got upset. He said, I'm not doing your work for you. You should know better than that, Miss Corbin. I am extremely busy. When you have got your act together,
Oh dear.
yeah, it was awful. He said, you can send me an email, but let me tell you that you're the 5th person that I have shown the door to today. I was like, oh my gosh. So I shook his hand, very polite. I was angry inside now, you know, and left politely and went through the door. I subsequently went into their website, learned everything about the company, but he let slip something about himself during the conversation. The project I was working on had children, and he mentioned his son. And he mentioned his son's school. So, of course, I kind of brokered a deal that meant that his son's school would have been involved. And, of course, it was going to be to his, remember the word, what is the benefit?
Yeah.
And I went back to him, invited his son to the event, and the products we got boxes and boxes of this juice at this particular event. So I managed to turn the sale around. But it's important that one, you know about the product, you're able to talk about the benefits. We got on so well as a result of me taking his son there and so on, that he called me a day and referred some other people to me. And I bumped into him 10 years later. He went to the States and came back. And he said, I remember that day. And he said to the person, this is a really good salesperson. I remember this woman well. So as a result now, he's referring me to people. So building relationships is really important. I could have gone away, felt really offended. I said, I'm not going, this man's having a bad day. I don't know what else is going on with him, but he's really having it, and I don't want to deal with him. But my decision was to win this man over, and it ended up building relationship and bringing referrals. All right. So you can tell your staff that story if you like, and hopefully that should motivate them. Now, I know that we can't see Dorian nor Anthony in visual, but they can actually hear us, because I've had some texts back. So unfortunately they cannot speak to us, but yes, they can hear. Thank you very much. Right. Okay. Getting a bit of a dry throat here, so. Has the noise stopped in the background of you, Shelley?
Yeah, it is.
Good.
It's good now.
Okay. So yes, any circumstances that you, or any relationships that you have at the moment with some of your customers that you think that you can build on? Are there any that you don't have to name names? You give me an example.
While you were speaking, I remember that on Mother's Day, I did a little special something for a number of people where I was going to advertise their lunches for restaurants and hotels. I wouldn't want to call any names or anything. But I signed up to them and I offered them a very special rate to be on the site for Mother's Day and for the rest of the year at a very special price. And just one of them, there were 12 people I did it with, and just one of them really answered me. I did it late, and just one person took it. But remember, I had offered them that if they had sat to this would go on for the rest of the year at this very special price. Only one person came forward and said, yes, up front.
Right.
So I on Tuesday, after Mother's Day, now I want their sale. I want their present. I really want their money.
Yeah.
Okay? So on Tuesday, I called them and I said, hi, I didn't hear you for Mother's Day, but I still had you on the site. And you know what? I am still willing to give you this offer for the rest of the year because you were really on the site and I know you had a good Mother's Day. And would you like to keep this offer because Father's Day is coming, we have crossover is coming, and we can do things. And so far, I got 3 others to say yes.
Right. So yeah, that type of assistant. Yeah.
So
yes,
yeah, and one of them, a lady actually, one of them, she said to me, "Oh, you know what I have? I have some recommendations for your site too because I really like it, you know." So she got really excited and everything. So I thought that was really good. Yeah. So I
That's
have the others to
excellent.
tap. So.
Okay, so
One
easy to
thing
keep in
that
contact.
happened to you're motivated more because it's really, you know, it's really motivated. So what I did with I have like one sales rep who I think is capable of making you know, and I allowed her to listen to me and I allowed her to share that experience with me. So I'm trying to get her, that's how I'm trying to do it. Like you said, I'm trying not to group them together right now. I'm more or less trying to take one with me and let them see how I handle it, what I want from them. And basically speaking, most of the people I go to, it's always like very friendly, like you said. I try to make it as friendly as possible. I try to get them involved and let them do a lot of talking too, because like you said, I research my people before I go to them. I always know you and I try to find out, okay, like suppose it's Father's Day. What are people going to want to do for fathers? Who are going to do something for fathers? So I'm not going to go to a beauty saloon and ask them to do a special for me to come on this thing with a special for Father's Day. You know, I'd probably go to. So, you know, you have to know your people. You have to know who is going to do what. You know, that kind of stuff. So that's the route I'm going.
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad you've separated them because they do. I've seen it happen in
Yeah.
a friend of mine's business where, you know, she had some really brilliant core staff and the others came in, affected them, the motivation went down and the thing just got disbanded. So, if I'd been able to intervene before it came to that point, it wouldn't have happened. But, you know, it was sad to see that when I went into the company for a minimum of 10 minutes, I was able to motivate them and we got sales in a field. If you go on the internet, on YouTube, you will see that I did a little talk about the course and why I started it. And that was where that example came from. You know, closing, one person, speaking to 3 people and closing in 5 minutes. And that was just the mission that I was on with those staff. But I said, if they can't see that vision, you don't have that connection with them, you're not doing it yourself with them, they're just not going to. And then if you bring others that are not motivated, it's just going to cause major issues. All right. So sometimes you will lose clients for various reasons. It's really good for your staff to ask, you know, well, why, you know, why did you decide to shift? What could we have done better? You know, there's nothing wrong with finding out what the problem is. Otherwise you can't solve it in a sales process as well. I think salespeople that are highly motivated and that are successful, they see problems as opportunities as well. Like you saw that little issue there as an opportunity, Shelley. I don't know. Now, I'm trying to toy with this, to ask myself if a good salesperson is born that way, or if it's learned. Rudolph, what do you think?
Learned.
Well, certainly there are techniques to selling that can be learned, and one may have a mindset that is not necessarily conducive to presenting themselves or presenting a product. But the fact of the matter is, that mindset can change. You can learn. Basically, you can learn to do anything. So I am convinced that you can learn to be a top salesperson. You can learn. It is something you can learn. Some people have, as a matter of fact, the statistics indicate that people who would ordinarily be thought of as the type of people that would make good salespeople, that is the outgoing, the people that you would think to have the gift of gab, that kind of thing, are not necessarily the top producers in sales. It's the kinds of people who learn their product, show themselves interested, because as they say, some people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them as a person. So there are people who are not necessarily outgoing, the kind of people that you would determine to be salespeople, but they still have the correct attitude. And these are things that you can learn. These are things that you can definitely learn.
Yes, yes. In business, I found that some people are a bit too, I don't know, they use their emotions as business owners into their sales staff. I'll give you an example. I was tasked with handling domestic sales for a particular organization. The existing staff that were there were not suitable, so the head of marketing said, Sandra, have a field day, call some people in, I'll sit in and watch you, let's just do these interviews. Now, one of the people was a bit, I would say, assertive, overly assertive actually, and at one point I was advised by the particular VP, you know, if you're finding that they're a bit aggressive, a bit assertive, and they're kind of not quite following all of your instructions, get rid of them. So I was like, no. He was like, but you can just get rid of the person. I said, that form of energy and aggression, I'm going to utilize it. I am going to have that person out there in the field with that aggression. And that person, I'm telling you, is going to be one of the best salespeople in this organization. And you know that they're still there to this day.
Okay.
Still there doing domestic field sales. So, you know, I could have used my emotions and said, but if you're also a leader, I think it's important that sometimes you shunt that aside, just like with an army, for the betterment of the group. And if it delivers the goods, once you don't get killed in the crossfire, I think it is important to be able to see beyond those emotions and utilize somebody like that to be able to get sales. So as I said, it might seem a bit aggressive, but that aggression, that energy, if it's in a physical setting, they should be able to bring those sales in. I just want to interject at this moment and remind everybody that the seminar is sponsored by the OneCaribbean.com and also by Orville Ray's GuerrillaGroup.com, in addition to Hot Prospector as well, right? And that's Mark Helson. Okay, so we are going to wrap up shortly. I know it's been a short session. Orville Ray is going to be with us on the 15th of June. I'm going to set the task now for everyone to come back with having interviewed maybe somebody for a sales position or shown me next Thursday where they have honed these characteristics in a situation, where they've been mindful and utilized these characteristics and can tell me this incident happened. So this is where I used my passion. I was about to get demotivated, but I went back. So I need you to go through the fact sheet, look at those characteristics, be mindful of them, and give me instances where you used those characteristics. In addition to, if you're hiring sales this week, I also want you to come back with an example of somebody you've hired and interviewed that has these characteristics, because I need you to bear these in mind continually. All right. So next week, 7:30, yeah, here on Skype, Sandra Corbin Success Strategies. Don't forget to look at my YouTube channel. Yeah. So just Google me. I'm on YouTube. And also Strategy Consultants on Facebook. That's where you'll be able to find me. So thank you for joining me. And I want everyone who's online just to say their name and say a little good night for us. And then we will meet again next week, God willing. All right. Starting with Shelley.
Good night, everyone. It was nice being here. It's nice meeting all of you. And I thank you, Sandra, very much for having us. And I'll be ready to give some good examples next week.
Good, wonderful.
Have a nice night.
All right, good night. And Rudolph, from you?
Yes, it certainly was a pleasure meeting all the participants, and to all of you, a very good evening.
Yes, that's good. Oh, and another note. I want you to also Google the Guinness Book of Records has the best seller in the world. And I would like you to go onto YouTube and have a listen to what he says about his life. That is very inspiring. So thank you once again. Thank you to Matthew Jordan, to Dorrance Paris, and Anthony Hoyt for joining us today. All right. See you all next week.